Right then, here we go. Episode 4 of the England One Cap podcast. Who'd have thought we'd make it this far? Well, we did, because we knew we were on something good. Last week, Matt Jarvis thought it went very well. But now we're looking at a different player and a whole new angle for us. We're looking at a whole different sport within football, I think. But before we introduce him, we'll introduce us. My name's Robert Prendergast, and your name is?
Callum Shaw.
Are you excited for this episode, Callum?
I'm really excited for this one for a number of reasons. Because I just didn't realise how interesting this guy was, if I'm honest. And yeah, bit of an unlucky career, really.
Very much so, yeah.
And yeah, got a few got a nice little personal story as well with this one, which I'm excited to tell everyone.
Well, I for one am excited to hear it as well.
Yeah, but we'll go into that later. Just tickling the balls for now.
Just tickling for now. I mean, delaying it as long as I can just to see if John Flanagan fucking replies to my messages, but so far nothing. He's quiet. I would say he's scared because of course he's heard of us.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, cool.
I can only imagine he's scared about the fight. But hey, I want to talk about it every week until John Flanagan is either in my DMs or in my boxing ring.
He's gonna have to reply at some point. He's gonna have to. It's in his dignity, his integrity is on the line here.
He's never played in Denmark. This is his last chance for a football career. He's gonna have to make the switch if this doesn't work out.
Exactly.
Right, let's not fanny about anymore. Let's get straight into the player we're talking about. Put it off for as long as we can, but the goalkeepers union, they've been on the phone, they've been complaining, they've not talked about a goalkeeper. So that's why this week we are talking about Chris Kirkland. What a staple of English football for our childhood, don't you think? He was always about.
Yeah, it really is. And on a personal note as well. Great middle name. His middle name is Edmund, which
Chris Edmund Kirkland. Yes.
Yeah. Well, when I read it, I just thought it was Edward. I had a double take. I was like, oh, not heard that one before.
No.
So it's an interesting one.
Yeah, I think he's probably top of the leaderboard in the formal England One Cap middle names.
It's between him and Roy for Stephen Corker. I still love that. Stephen Roy Corker.
Should we go to the start for Chris? Coventry City.
Yeah, let's go where it all began. Coventry, yeah.
Weird one. That Dreadwood Coventry were good. No, not really for me.
Well, if it wasn't for Premier League years, I would have no idea that Coventry were ever good. But yeah, Coventry. I didn't actually realise he played in the Premier League for them, to be honest.
24 games.
Yeah.
Maybe less. What they got relegated and he stayed for a little bit, I think, so it might not be 24.
I think so, yeah. But yeah, I don't know if you saw this. There's a great quote by Gordon Strachan about Chris Kirkland.
No, you're gonna say.
Did you see it?
Yeah, go on, say it.
Yeah, I'll result to my notes for this one because I don't want to get it wrong. Big Bambi who couldn't kick the ball out of the penalty box.
Yeah. But apparently he loved him. Apparently that was out of love.
Yeah.
That comment.
Yeah.
Gordon Strachan. Why do I dislike Gordon Strachan? I don't know. Is it because he was Scotland manager? I don't know. There's just something deep down which is
maybe because he's just Scottish. Full stop.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's not shy away from racism on this, yo.
Yeah.
we'll have anyone on this podcast, but Scottish when it comes to football. Yeah. Gordon Strachan, his son played for him. That's what I don't like. His son was in that commentary squad. Nepotism.
Wow. It's so Sunday League, that isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
Manager's son getting games.
And it's
shocking.
I kind of think it's funny when the manager's son is in the squad, but he still doesn't get in the team. It's like even he's admitting you're not good enough for the team, but like he's kind of
he knows deep down, doesn't he? When he's not getting in the start 11, he knows deep down.
Yeah. You heard Roy Keane talk about the Fergusons in Man United.
Oh,
What do you say? I'm surprised his wife doesn't work here. I'm surprised his wife is on the books as well. But yeah, Coventry. I was actually surprised he didn't play that many games for him, considering his next transfer. But he was there for 2 seasons, 2.5, doing a bit. Couple in the Prem, and then went to the old First Division. For younger audience members, that kind of means the Championship. Before he got the big move and became the most expensive British goalkeeper in the world. Not anymore, at the time. And he moved to Liverpool. Liverpool for, I don't know, 8 million? I think it was 8 million.
Yeah, it definitely was rising to 8 million with add-ons. It's a lot of money for a, what was it, 20-year-old goalkeeper at the time, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what can you say? Most expensive British goalkeeper at that point. So, says it all, doesn't it, really?
That's a bit, really, yeah. And it's so weird, like, because he was never intended to be their main keeper by the looks of it. They never bought him and thought he was going to be their number one, unless it was for the future. But
yeah, it's one of those. Got obviously had Jersey Dudek at the time. It was number one. So yeah, it probably just one for the future. Playing League Cup games, the odd league game here and there. I think it was just one of those. But
Jersey Dudek, a proper inconsistent keeper, though, isn't he? So I'm sure they were just
such a weird one. Like throughout Dudek's career, there's just spells of like he didn't play at all because of like all the mistakes that he'd made in previous games, and then all of a sudden he'd just come back and play another full half a season.
Yeah. Obviously, when you say Jersey Dudek, I think of the 2005 Champions League final.
Yeah.
And was like, oh, he played amazing. I'm like, well, conceded 3, didn't he? So did he play?
He conceded 3. I mean, it wasn't. I think it was extra time where he made like 2 or 3 really, and then obviously penalties.
Giving it all in the penalties, wasn't he? Doing jumping starfish thing.
Fucking miles off his line as well for each penalty.
He's still walking back to his line now. That's how far out he was. But yeah, good old Chris got himself a big transfer to Liverpool. Obviously, he's a one cap. Got called up to England squad quite a few times, I think. As
he did, yeah.
The third keeper.
Yeah, I think he was consistently in the squad from like 2003 onwards, but didn't get his cap until like 3 years later.
Yeah, because he under 21s for a bit, wasn't he? I think he had like 8-9 games for them.
8 caps, yeah. Yeah, I suppose it's not uncommon for a goalkeeper to get called up to the squad for quite a few years before they actually get a game. Maybe less so now because there's a bit more rotation about it. But in the Sven era, there must have been quite a few goalkeepers getting called up who just wouldn't get a kick.
Yeah, because mainly David James, wasn't it, and Paul Robinson.
James, Robert until he made that error. Yeah.
We had mediocre keepers on tap back then, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We really did. Because even David James, great keeper, but even at that point, he was probably coming past his best, you would say.
David James has passed his best and then played for another 13 years.
Yeah, he did.
So poor. I try and do this. Obviously, I like naming England one caps. That's my thing. But I sometimes try and think of footballers who've been in the England squad, but they never played for England. And a lot of them are goalkeepers because they just get called up all the time. And then as the third goalkeeper, Ramsdale, if you like, for the World Cup. I can name a few. Bettinelli, Jimmy Bullard.
That's a spin. That's a spin-off series, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? I've given away the goods there. I've set up someone to make their own podcast there.
Yeah.
But the man did finally get his England call up. I think he just left. He just left Liverpool at that point.
I think so. I think, that summer he signed for Wigan. I believe.
He went on loan to Wigan and then went permanently.
Yeah.
I think the England call-up was between the loan spell and the then permanent transfer.
Right, yeah, that makes sense.
I don't really know. Oh, before we go into that, Champions League winner.
Yeah, well,
technically.
Because he actually did play 3 or 4 games in that campaign.
Yeah, early doors games.
Yeah, and it's weird because obviously, we should mention now, Chris Kirkland had a lot of injury problems, and it probably started mainly at Liverpool.
Yeah.
Because like he got into the first team finally, then got an injury, and then like he'd get another chance, he'd get injury. So that season, the Champions League season, he started most of their league games at the start of the season, and then got an injury and missed the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So Scott Carson took his place, and Scott Carson tried to give his winner's medal to Chris Kirkland.
Yeah, I saw that.
But being the gracious man he is, he obviously refused. So.
Humble. That's a word for Chris Kirkland. Humble. Yeah.
Yeah.
Respect for him. I wonder if Carson. I wonder how genuine the offer was. It was like, oh, you sure you don't want mine? Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
I wonder how hard he tried to offer him this medal.
Yeah, probably not very hard. I imagine they were probably like roommates or something. Probably lights off at bed, like, Chris. Have it if you really want. He's like, no, mate, honestly. Night.
Yeah. But hey, if there's a podcast to slander Scott Carson, it's not this one. Trust me.
Really. Not now, not ever.
So yeah, then we fast forward a year, August 2006. England, his England appearance, came on off the bench against Greece when England were already 4-0 up. So he couldn't do anything wrong, really.
No.
And then the game finished 4-0. But to be fair though, Greece came out a bit for the second half. Greece had had a lot going on, and Ashley Cole made 2 goal line clearances. Not sure if Chris could have been there, but I won't hold it against him. But he did make 1 great save, so he definitely
saw that.
Did more than Matt Jarvis.
Yeah, I mean, it's a clean sheet for him, but it's just so, like, as a goalkeeper, when you get your England cap, your England 1 cap, you expect it to be 90 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
And Chris Kirkland with all these injuries and the bad luck, and then his England 1 cap, it's only 45 minutes as a goalkeeper. It's just so gutting that.
I mean, you look at all the players who have 1 cap for England, and it's like different categories of players. You kind of got like the flavour of the month striker who scored, 3 out of 5 1 month and there's injuries, loads of those. And there's always there's a lot of keepers who maybe just came on the second half of a friendly or a qualifier we've already qualified for, something like that. And humble Chris comes under that category. Just comes on at half time against Greece, and just secures what we already had. Friendly as well.
Yeah. What can you say?
Why are we playing friendly? I really, my whole life I've always defended England for playing these friendlies. And I'm like, yeah, well, we're learning how the team works and gets together. Steve McLaren's first game, I get it, maybe. But I don't know. You come on for England and you keep a clean sheet, fine, it's 45 minutes, and you don't get another call-up. You're then admitting that game doesn't mean anything, I feel like.
I've got such an agenda against friendlies in recent years, mainly just because I was sick of watching England friendlies now. And like you say, it's used, to get players on that wouldn't usually get a game in a European qualifier or a big tournament. And especially when it's players that you don't want them to go and play for another country. So you give them 20-minute run out.
Southgate is the king of that.
He loves it, doesn't he? He absolutely loves it. Still not done it for Patrick Bamford though. So I hope Paddy goes to Ireland. I really do.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, we'll never play him in a major tournament, so he can go where the fuck he wants. So
exactly.
It's like, and I try on this podcast I try not to spoil future 1 caps, but I am going to spoil this one. Lewis Dunk, right? I've always said I've liked Lewis Dunk. I like him as a defender. I've always thought he's good. Got an England call up. It's USA, November 18, November 18, I think.
You were there?
Yeah, I was there of that game.
Yeah.
Plays 90 minutes. Let's be honest, this game was a glorified testimonial for Wayne Rooney. But he plays 90 minutes and keeps a clean sheet. And it's like, great, well, what more could you do? And he never gets in another England squad despite having the same level of form for his club, arguably maybe even better for his club after that. So what are we saying? That friendly meant nothing. We're just admitting that I paid 30 quid to watch Wayne Rooney, which I'm happy with. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just... And you look at friendlies like this, and it's like, why? I've spent so long defending these friendlies, and now I feel like an absolute mug that they're admitting they don't mean anything. You know?
I know. You know what? I still watch some, but I'll admit there is some England friendlies I just haven't watched at all in the last 2 or 3 years. And shames me to say that on the England Uncap podcast, but it's true, because if they don't care, why should I? So
yeah, no, I agree. I think before I came to uni 4 years ago, I think I would have claimed I've seen every England game of the last 10 years, and then I was just like, I can't be bothered to watch some of these games.
Nah.
Anyway, that was a nice sidetrack. Back on Chris Kirkland. So yeah, a very strong debut against Greece, the at the time European champions.
Yeah.
Played against. Oh, I'm going to go on another sidetrack. Played against Stelios Giannakopoulos. Do you remember him? Used to play for Bolton. There's a running joke in my there's a running joke in my family at my expense that Yeovil, where I grew up and where I supported, and Bolton, my dad's team, and I follow them as well, and my brother follows them, played each other in like 04 or something. And I was standing at the front near the Jolly Green Giant, the terrifying mascot we have. And I swear to God, right, Stelios has just randomly kicked a ball from warming up, training. He's kicked a ball and it's hit me in the face, right? I swear on my life this happened. I absolutely swear. Because I remember there were kids around me laughing because it happened. Just like random kids. And I was just like horrified. And I was only like 7. These balls were harder when you're 7, right in the face. And I was just like, no, run up to back to the seats, crying to mum and dad. I don't know, like 8 years later, I bring it up and I'm like, oh yeah, that's like the time Stelios kicked the ball in my face. And it's like, what? Like, when did that happen? And they're like, you just made that up. Why have you made that up? I'm like, it happens. It happens. And so now, whenever I say anything, they're like, oh yeah, is that at the time Stelios kicked the ball in your face? So that's why I'm happy he lost 4-0. You big Greek bastard.
Yeah, fuck off, Stelios.
If I meet him one day, I'll bring it up. He won't remember because apparently I made it up. But
well, I think it's great either way if it is true or if it is made up. But the thought of you standing there looking at Stelios and then hopefully just creating this scenario in your head, not just like daydreaming. Then, oh yeah. Either way, it's a great story.
Oh, thank you. Right, back. Sorry, Chris. This is your time. Forget the Greeks. So this is when he's had his England call up, and now he's playing for Wigan, where probably had the best spell of his career, didn't he? Most regular football.
So. Though such a nice little side, that Wigan team. I think it's when I started playing FIFA. The first FIFA I really played properly was when they just come up to the Prem. So it must have been FIFA 06. And I love playing as that Wigan team because they're newly promoted. They had Heskey, Kirkland, a few others.
Charles Nzogbia.
Nzogbia, yeah. Just a nice little cult team for me. Like, yeah, I really like that team. Yeah, did well at Wigan. Big Chris, big Bambi.
Yeah, very well. Played in the greatest game ever played. Do you remember when Wigan Blackburn, when it was 5-3 to Wigan?
5-3, and he saved that penalty.
He saved Benny McCarthy's penalty.
Yeah.
Bottom left post. 2 hat tricks on both sides. Marcus Bent and Roque Santa Cruz.
icons everywhere, absolutely everywhere.
Said it last week, didn't I, about Blackburn? How like I keep seeing on social media about that squad being like a cult squad now.
Yeah.
Oh, Roque. The kids nowadays, they don't know. They don't know
No.
how saucy Roque Santa Cruz was. But yeah, that was a great game. Then he was there when Roberto Martinez came in.
Yes. Yeah, he was. All the managers at Wigan, because you had Steve Bruce, Paul Jewell, Bobby Martinez. They all absolutely loved him.
Imagine those three on a night out together.
Imagine Steve Bruce and Paul Jewell. I bet they can put some pints away between them.
Paul Jewell gets himself in some ropey situations, though, I imagine.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he does. Yeah, one's just come to mind, which is very funny.
Can't say it on here.
No, I'm not saying it. Not saying it.
But yeah, all of the managers really speak highly of him as a player and as a professional.
Yeah.
He said one thing about Roberto Martinez, which seems like the most unlikely thing Martinez would have said. Apparently, when he came in, he's like, "Who's got kids?" The players, and the few of them put their hands up. But Martinez is like, "Yeah, you should really wait till your career's finished before you have kids," and sort of left. And everyone's just like, "Fuck," and yeah. Apparently, but then they said after that he knew all their kids by name and that, so it just seems like a really weird comment.
Yeah, probably just have to throw that bit of advice in there. Maybe get off his chest.
Yeah, get an abortion for your 4-year-old son. Like. But and this obviously will be relevant later on in the podcast. Chris Kirkland, a man with lots of mental health issues during his career.
Yeah,
will always put his family first. Let's be honest. He was and that's something he always worried about playing football. Not a very nice comment, is it, for someone, with anyone, especially someone in that situation? I feel.
Yeah. Shame on you, Roberto.
Yeah. So serves you right for squandering that great Belgium squad. But yeah, man, played so well at Wigan. Eventually got dropped for El Habsi. El Habsi?
Yeah. El Habsi.
Why do I confuse El Habsi and Brad Guzan?
Well, we're just average former Prem goalkeepers.
Yeah.
That Al Habsi, there's so many cult heroes who are getting mentioned today. Ali Al Habsi.
Al Habsi was good. Used to be at Bolton, but never got a look really because of Yasko Island. But Al Habsi, decent now. Took Kirkland's place when he conceded 4 against Blackpool on the opening day of the season. Quite perhaps understandable. Yeah, and then that's when they started loaning him out to Leicester and Doncaster. But his head was not in a good place by this point, and he's admitted this. His love for football was fading away. More interested in he didn't like being away from his family for so long, which I think it's something we touched on in the Stephen Corker episode about Corker having to go to Turkey to continue playing and didn't see his son for the best part of a year.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I say, we know now that Chris was struggling with depression. I think looking back, I mean, he'd probably admit himself that he probably potentially should have just taken a break from football. But I suppose, once you're in football, it's very hard to take yourself out, especially when you got to keep earning money, for your family and stuff. But yeah, it's he went on loan to Doncaster. He only played 1 game.
Yeah.
It was against Leeds actually. He didn't play very well. Yeah, we beat him 3-1. He wasn't very good. But yeah.
He got injured though, didn't he? Is that why he went back? Or
he had these constant back spasms throughout his career. I think 3 different loan spells he had to go back to his parent club because of these back spasms.
Yeah. he said when he had some mental health issues, they said, and so he said he should have taken a break. I think perhaps that's easier said than done, especially for that kind of like era of football, because you
No, I agree.
don't get an inch if you mention mental health issues then. And he said when he did, the official reason stated was like, oh, his wife was having troubles and he had to go home. They couldn't say he had the troubles because that wasn't in the rules.
It's just not right, is it?
So I wonder if the obviously he had a lot of injuries, definitely, but I wonder if some of the injuries were not really injuries; they just said injuries.
Potentially, yeah.
Because of situations, but either way, shit, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Crap, absolute crap. But well, hopefully it gets better. That whole situation, people being more open about it. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
I think it is, man. I mean, we've touched it in all episodes. Like,
yeah,
I'll keep thinking about this Matt Jarvis thing I said about him being in the Game magazine, and I've only found out like 10 years later. I'm like, that's stuff. People like that are influential, and we're better now. We've got like Marcus Rashford and other people. Henderson's pretty good on that sort of thing. But yes. Anyway, so then after his loan spells, go to Sheffield Wednesday, which
he did.
Where he was pitted again. Dave Jones, is that the manager? I've written Dave Jones.
Yeah, Dave Jones. Yeah.
Not the guy from the Apprentice. Dragon's Den.
No, not that one. The Scouse one. I think he was a Scouser. Dave Jones. I'm pretty sure.
He said.
Neck of the woods.
Speaking of boxing matches, he said, "Whoever has the better season between Chris Kirkland and Stephen Bywater will be our first team goalkeeper." And Bywater is proper up for a scrap to prove his place in the team.
100%. So we mentioned this behind the scenes here on the England Cup podcast, but apparently Bywater is an absolute live wire.
About 15 minutes before we started recording, I was like, I'll see if I can get a little Bywater story. Google him. First headline I see is Stephen Bywater brandishes a sword at a delivery man, and I'm just like, I can't go down this wormhole now. It's too deep. I will never get out of this.
Oh god. Oh, that's one for a lonely night. Stephen Bywater's life and history.
Well, next time I can't sleep at night, I'm going diving right in Stephen Bywater, getting every little bit I can.
Squeeze it all out.
Do you have a little story to tell us about his Sheffield Wednesday days?
Yeah. So Chris Kirkland at Sheffield Wednesday. Everyone, it's potentially Chris Kirkland, one of his most famous moments of his career, potentially. So yeah, it was a cold and wet night in October, I believe. Sheffield Wednesday v Leeds at Hillsborough, and this game very famous for Chris Kirkland getting pushed in the face by a Leeds fan, Aaron Crawley, something like that.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Yeah, that is his name. Mate of yours, is he?
Yeah, we go way back. We talk about punching goalkeepers in the face and stuff. But yeah, so I always remember that's one of my first Leeds away games. I'd kind of only started going away games that year, and there's stigma around like Leeds games, like all the fighting. But that was like I'd never seen that. Like, it was all back in the day. Like, I hadn't seen any trouble at Leeds games really, and this one was normal affair, and then we go 1-0 down. Small group of Sheffield Wednesday fans start Galatasaray chant. Two Leeds fans got stabbed in Galatasaray. People didn't know that, and I was, I knew about it, but I didn't really hear what they were singing. But all of a sudden, all kicks off. People are ripping chairs out, chucking them. There's like bottles. Group of Leeds fans like congregated at the front trying to get at these Sheffield Wednesday. It is absolute chaos, and I could tell my dad was a bit like, well, I didn't really want me to see it, but like, what can you do at the game? So it's all kicking off. Next thing you know, Michael Tom, former Sheffield United player as well, which made it even better, scores this absolute screamer. We absolutely erupt. And it was mental because didn't see what was going on the pitch. We're celebrating. Look back, Chris Kirkland's on the deck, and I remember my dad being like, "Get up, Kirkland." We hadn't seen what had happened. We thought he'd like gone down with an arm injury when he like landed trying to save it or something.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know until we got back into the car that he'd been a Leeds fan and ran on and punched him in the face.
Wow.
And I'll never forget my mum ringing me because there was a lot of trouble. And my mum's a bit worried. She's like, "You're right." And I'm there like kind of all happy. John, like, "Oh yeah, it was great." Like, And she was like, No, it's bad. Like you shouldn't be happy, shouldn't be like laughing and stuff like that. Because I didn't know what happened. And my mum told me. I looked at her, I was like, oh God, yeah. Yeah, it was a night I'll never forget. It's one of my favourite away days, and yeah, great drive. It still gets showed every year now, that clip on social media.
Yeah.
When the day comes around. But yeah, crazy. Still can't believe it happened. I still cannot believe it happened.
That's mad, mate. Are you more sympathetic than a lot of Leeds fans who claiming that Kirkland milked it?
I mean, it wasn't a full-out punch in the face, and I'm not saying it should have happened, but it was like a push in the face. But like, obviously, I'm still sympathetic because like no football player should be put in harm's way by a fan. That's just basic morals. But yeah, I mean, there was a bit of banter between Kirkland and Leeds fans after that. If we ever played him, we'd kind of boo him and jeer him a bit. But I think he used to love it. He used to give it a bit back. And they used to beat us quite a lot after that as well. So I'm sure he enjoyed a couple of games against Leeds when he wasn't getting punched in the face. So.
Yeah. He did milk it, but it's not like he's been fouled by another player and he's trying to get him sent off. It's like he can't fight back because then he's banned.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. The wise thing probably was just for him to go down and stay down for a bit, because for all he knows, you don't know how many more fans are gonna.
Yeah, true.
Because there was more fans we had more fans on the pitch, but they were kind of trying to get at the Chef Wednesday fans. And then it's just this one guy who comes around and punches Chris in the face, bless him. But
maybe when you stay down to get someone sent off, maybe he was thinking, the longer I stay down, the longer this prick's going to prison. I swear.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's proper grim. I've only seen that like twice, really. That and the Grealish one.
Oh yeah, Grealish one, bloody hell. Yeah.
That was worse. That's back of the head, isn't it? Right on the back.
Oh, that was worse. That was definitely worse.
Yes. Well, who's laughing now? £100 million player.
There we go.
So yeah, he finishes up at Chef Wed. How long was he there for? Yeah, 3 years?
I think he made like 85 appearances.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, no, he was very respectful for him, but he wanted to stay at Wigan.
Yeah.
I think he really wanted to stay at Wigan because that was closer to his family. And he was I think he had a gentleman's agreement to go to have another contract, but I mean, look at Harry Kane, gentleman's agreements don't always go to plan. So,
what the gentleman agreements mean these days, really?
Yeah. I don't know how you can't say gentleman's agreement anymore. You'll get ridiculed. You just sound silly. You sound bitter. And then
yeah, if I was a player, I'd make sure things were down in writing. None of these verbal comments over, in like a board meeting or whatever. Yeah, get everything down in writing. That's my advice to professional footballers.
You heard it first. Then he goes to Preston, where he was never a first choice keeper, really. But I think he preferred that. I think he likes being a second choice keeper.
Yeah, I thought goalkeepers do get to a point, don't they, where they're just happy to kind of be part of a club, but just sit on the bench, fill in where they can. Which is fair enough. Like if you've been in goal for 10 plus years, probably even more, sometimes you just want to earn your money, sit on the bench, have some banter.
I can't decide whether being a second/third choice keeper is the best job in football or the worst job in football. It might be the best.
It's definitely one or the other. It's definitely one or the other.
Yeah, I think I'd
Potentially
love
both,
it.
just depending on you. Yeah,
Because
I think I'd love it if I've already played a lot of first team football.
yeah, you're
If I was
you're
over
not
the age
Stephen
of
Harper.
30, no, no. If I was over the age of 30, it'd just be great. Like, you go training, you know. I feel, I don't know. I've got this thing in my head where you can just like muck around a bit more. It's
I
like
know.
your second choice.
Aren't you being paid to be a character in the dressing room, effectively?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Ben Foster at the minute. Like, absolutely laps it up. You know what I mean? He seems like he's having like the most fun he's ever had in his career, being the second choice at Watford.
You professional YouTuber and part-time footballer at the minute.
Yeah.
You remember the two goalkeepers in that season for Preston who Kirkland was second to? Do you know them?
Not a clue, mate.
Oh, well, you're going to be very disappointed. First half of the season, Jordan Pickford on loan from Sunderland.
Nice.
And was great for them. He was very, very good at stopping goals going in the goal for them. And when he left, and I'm sure Kirkland's and him bond over being England one-cap goalkeepers. Sam Johnston was there second half of the season.
There we go.
So yeah, he was in good company. Sam Johnston came to Yeovil once. Have I ever told you that? On loan. He did a full Chris Kirkland on loan, one game, broke his finger, sent him back.
There he goes.
We had one keeper play every minute the season before, and then we had like 4 or 5 keepers in the space of a month because it just kept all getting injured. And he was one of those 5, Sam Johnston. But yeah, England one cap now. Yeah, so that was just one season.
Love you, Sam.
Yeah, love you, Sam. Hey, we'll get to you eventually, baby.
Yeah, fair. We're probably a bit hesitant to talk about Sam Johnston in case he breaks our hearts and becomes a 2 cap.
I know, James Maddison syndrome, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
And a very sad ending to his career, really. So he leaves Preston and goes to Bury, but I think he did leave before the season even started. I think.
Yeah, he didn't play a game. Yeah, he pretty much left straight away. Because I think his personal problems really taken over at that point. So yeah, shame it ended like that. Because I'm sure if he was in better frame of mind, he'd love playing at all those clubs because it's obviously close to where he lives.
Yeah.
I think it's always quite nice when you can tell a player lives in that part of the country and they just go around all the clubs like, Preston, Bury, Oldham, etc., etc. So yeah, bit of a shame out to spend like that, but
we always at Yeovil. We sign a player. I'm like, which Bristol club has he come from, or is it Exeter?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, on the bright side, at least he got to avoid all that nonsense that was going on at Bury. So
yeah, true, very true.
But then he retired, and I think he got. He seems to be quite happy now. He seems to be really enjoying what he does and spends a lot more time with his family. And I think that says a lot about how toxic football is.
Yeah, definitely can be. Yeah, it's weird because didn't hear from Chris Kirkland for a few years. I thought, I wonder what Chris Kirkland. But then last year or so, I've been watching or listening to radio or watching stuff on telly where he's popped up as a pundit or something. Which is nice to see.
What's he do? Is it TalkSport or is it 5 Live? He does something.
He does something. I can't remember which one it is. It might be TalkSport, but I'm not too sure. But yeah, no, good to see he's back involved and feeling better, doing his thing.
Bit of coaching, did some goalkeeping coaching at Port Vale. Then was a goalkeeper coach at Liverpool Women's, and then he's at Colne, Colne.
I was looking at this and I just didn't know how to pronounce that because It's like the German team of similar name, Cologne.
Yeah, Cologne.
Yeah. That's it for a second, because like there's like 2 or 3 different spellings of the German Cologne. For a second, I thought it meant that. I was like, oh, but then I clicked on. I was like, oh no, there's some small club in north of England.
Moans his whole career about being too far away from home and goes to be goalkeeper coach in Germany. No.
Also, Liverpool Women's. Did you know he actually took over as caretaker manager for a little bit?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was a caretaker manager. So yeah, can add that to his credentials.
He was oh my god, I can't believe you not mentioned this. Okay, well, I'll say this one thing. His daughter is in the Liverpool Academy at the minute as a keeper.
Right.
And back when Chris Kirkland was in the academy, when he was a young boy, his dad's put on a bet for him to get to play for England.
Yes.
Have we not mentioned this? I thought
Yeah.
His dad put on £100 him to play for England before the age of 30 at 100 to 1, and then won £10,000. 100 to 1, not great odds really, but
yeah. I suppose the thing is, when you're a young English goalkeeper and you're coming through the ranks at a Premier League team, I suppose you're gonna get an England call, even if you don't play. You're definitely gonna get in the squad at least. Chances are, because they always take 3 keepers. So
yeah,
suppose keepers have a better chance than most when you're putting on those early career bets.
I still think 100 to 1 is not a lot, but hey, I think quite a few members of the Kirkland family did it all at William Hill.
Yeah,
and just a massive payout for him. This is I think it was one of the first things I remember about Chris Kirkland. I remember hearing that on the radio the day after the England-Greece game.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that, because I always remember Lewis Cook's dad doing it.
Yes.
That's the one that I always remember with those bets for them to play for England. But yeah, well done to Chris Kirkland's dad.
Yeah, well done, Chris Kirkland. Never gave Chris any of the money, but his wage. It should be all right. So I wonder if he's got a similar bet on his daughter. He's got it, didn't he?
Yeah. Oh, he's got it. It's unfair if he doesn't. Can't be any favouritism.
Yeah, it looks like if he doesn't put a bet on, he's basically saying to her, "You ain't gonna make it,"
No.
And that's not very fatherly. I heard him on a podcast say he's got a friend who's he put a bet on his son to score for Everton before the age of 23. He didn't reveal the player, annoyingly. He said he put a bet on his son to score for Everton before the age of 23 and got, I think he said 19,500 to 1 for these odds. And he's like, "Is this only good?" He's like, "Yeah, it's in the Everton Academy right now." So
wow.
I'm hoping one day this story comes to light. And
I'm sure. Well, it either will or it won't, because if he scores, we'll know all about it.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't, we'll never know.
That was on Under the Kosh podcast, so check that out if you want to hear.
Belling podcast.
Yeah. Second best football podcast going.
Second, I would say. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Well, I think we've done a good job there of exploring the career of Chris Kirkland. 4 players now, got a keeper in. This time next week, might have a little 5-a-side team going.
Yeah. Say we've tipped most of the boxes: a centre half, goalie, winger, striker. Maybe we need a centre mid.
Maybe we need a centre mid. Wow. I can think of a few, but
okay.
we'll have to come back another time to find out more.
Yeah.
I tell you who we're not doing though. John Flanagan. Where are you? You got to message me first, John, and then you can be on the podcast.
Yeah. John Flanagan will be the very last person on this podcast.
Yeah.
even if we have to talk about people in the early 1900s, John Flanagan as well.
We'll be talking about 2 cats and 3 cats before I do a John Flanagan episode.
Oh, dear.
So yeah, that's the career of Chris Kirkland. Really respect the guy, to be honest. I think he does a lot of mental health work nowadays, and just put his name to Spotify. There's loads of mental health podcasts he's done, and they're all very interesting. And it's hard not to respect him as a footballer and as a man, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And I'd like to extend my apologies to Chris because I probably have booed you at one point after you got punched in the face at Leeds, but it was harmless banter, nothing more. No hard feelings, I hope, Chris.
I reckon you saw it and you're lying about that whole story. I reckon you saw him got hit and you're like, finish him.
Yeah. Well, we'll never know now, so I'll keep my version of events.
Well, after that accusation, I think that's a good time to end.
Yeah, please.
This has been the England One Cap podcast.
Wait, the all-important question.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
The all-important question.
Callum, Chris Kirkland. Do you think he was lucky to get his England call up? Do you think he got the one cap he deserved? Or do you think he was unlucky not to play more times for England?
This is what I'm definitely sure about, so I'm going to jump straight in there. I think he was unlucky not to get more, and I'll tell you why. He had stints as Liverpool, a top 4 team, their first choice keeper. And if it wasn't for injuries, he probably would have started in net in the 85 Champions League final. He would have been a Champions League winner. He'd have been saving penalties halfway off his line like Jersey Dudek. So, yeah, I honestly do think if he was able to put in a full season of games at Liverpool, because Benitez did like him at first.
Yeah.
And it was only because of the injuries, finger breaks, back problems, and there was a groin tear, ankle injury, the lot. So if it wasn't for them, I think he'd have played quite a few more times for England. I really do.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, listen, I think we should disagree on this for views, but I agree with you, mate. I mean, he was.
Yeah.
You don't get in the England squad that many times without, being consistently good, And I think his best performances came after his call up, I believe. When he then went to Wigan.
Well, yeah. If we're saying Wigan was the best part of his career, which probably was, definitely was, then yeah, quite surprised he actually didn't get called up after playing for Wigan, playing consistently week in, week out for 2 or 3 years.
Big team bias, mate.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? That's it.
But we're wrapping it up, so I won't delve into that now. But
no.
Also, the England outfit was just a mess. Then, wasn't it?
It was.
Pay for McLaren.
We should be really grateful now because people still love to criticise Southgate for some reason, but it's definitely the best the England setup and the England team has been in a long, long time.
Oh, Southgate, you're the one. You still turn me on.
Still turns me on.
Right. Can I go now? Can I? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Have I forgotten anything else?
I couldn't go.
No, it's good. I'd have hated myself if I missed that. This has been the England One Cap podcast. Thank you for listening. Subscribe on YouTube. Like on Instagram, on Facebook. We'll sort out Twitter at some point and TikTok, maybe. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. Twitter page. I'm getting set up in the next couple of days. That's a promise. You can all hold me to that.
You take it to the bank.
Yeah. So Twitter page coming. But yeah. Social media, YouTube, Spotify, etc.
Thank you very much. Watching. Yeah. It's been England One Cap podcast. We'll be with you soon.